Welcome to our On the Move segment where we talk travel and tourism. It's been a very busy summer travel season for at least us in the Northern Hemisphere, but for some popular hotspots, maybe a little too busy. In response, Amsterdam in the Netherlands is actively discouraging party tourism. It recently banned cruise ships to combat pollution and over-tourism. In Italy, Venice plans to introduce entrance fees now. The UN cultural organization UNESCO warns that the city risks irreversible damage due to climate change and over-tourism. The UN's World Tourism Organization says too many tourists negatively impact the quality of life of citizens as well as the visitor experience, and it's a growing problem. We're talking about it. The organization predicts international travelers will hit a 2 billion by the year 2030. For more on this over-tourism, we're joined by Henry Harteveldt. He's a travel industry analyst and president of the Atmosphere Research Group. Welcome to the show. I love tourism. Everyone I know loves to travel. I'd like to think that we're relatively responsible. How are tourists being blamed for issues, I guess, on the ground in these tourist hotspots?
Well, Phil, it's the volume of tourism that is the issue here. The fact that we are able to travel, and so many of us do travel, is both good in terms of understanding, learning more about the world in which we live, and of course the spending that we conduct at these destinations. But the massive volumes of people is ironically choking some of the very places we want to visit, that we want to experience, we want to enjoy.
So, okay, let's go with that. Too many people in one place. Let's take Amsterdam, for example. They said, well, we're not going to have party tourism. We're going to ban some of the cruise ships from coming by. I mean, this isn't something that's new. This has been going on, for decades, that a lot of tourists, many of them Americans, but from all over the world, go to places because they see it on TV, they watch the Travel Channel, or they see something on social media, and they say, well, I want to be there, I want to go there, I want to take pictures, I want to be a part of it. And now we're going to tell them that, take a number?
Well, I think, yes, you're right. We see it. We want to be there. We want to do it. But I think what we're going to say is, look, not as many people can go. And what I think these destinations want to do is simply intelligently reduce the number of tourists. Now, this comes at an economic cost to the destinations. Banning these large cruise ships means that thousands of people won't be spending their money in Amsterdam or Venice, for example. But at the same time, when you have these massive number of people descending on these destinations, it does a disservice to everyone. I recall a few years ago, I brought one of my nephews to Versailles, and we were just stunned by the throngs of people touring the palace and the grounds that day. It wasn't fun, and it's not responsible for us to do this. What we have to do is find a way to balance this in a way that is fair and equitable.
So, okay, I had a very similar experience as the one you just described. I would concur that, yes, that is a problem when it's so crowded that you're not enjoying yourself. What is the solution, though? I mean, are we going to choose who gets to visit or when they get a visit? You have to apply for a tourist visa, and they say, well, there's too many tourists coming in August. You're going to have to come in September. Is it you literally, you take a number, or you pick a time in a month where there's less people?
Well, I think what you're going to start to see happen is you're going to see the governments working with airlines, rail companies, and others saying, look, can you potentially rethink the number of seats, the amount of capacity you're bringing in? Governments may deny permits to build more hotel space. But at the same time, they have to be careful. There's a balancing act here. I don't think any of us want travel to go back to what it once was many decades ago, something only the very wealthy can afford to do. That's not good. And at the same time, if you restrict some travel, you're restricting business travel, you're restricting conventions, which bring in a lot of money to these destinations.
Right, but that's my point. You can't have it both ways. I mean, you can't choose in alphabetical order who comes to visit you and who doesn't. If we did that, I mean, DC would be a better place because it wouldn't be so crowded and you wouldn't get hit by scooters all the time. But the issue here is, how are you going to fairly pick and choose who gets to go. You say, well, we don't want the rich people to go, but the only way I know how is to charge a ticket price, because you make it expensive that everybody can't go. I mean, that is an economic way of establishing some level of, I guess, fairness.
You're right, but then the budget airlines and the budget hotels would say, hey, don't pick on us, pick on this other group. So, what I think what the destinations are going to do is to try to go for what they deem easy targets. So, for example, in Amsterdam and Venice, they're going to go after the cruise ships, because those vessels come in for a day and leave, and the people don't stay overnight. They're going to go for the party type of tourist, the folks who, frankly, are not respectful visitors, that are destructive and disruptive to the destination. So I think that's who they're going to try to target. But how they go about doing that is going to be an interesting thing to watch. Because it's not like you can ask people, are you coming here to party? We'll all say no, and then we'll go out and party. So, I don't know how these destinations are going to do this. They say they want to trim the tourism, but I don't know how they can do it in a very practical way that isn't discriminatory.
There are so many countries that would love to have this problem, right? Too many tourists spending too much money, and I get it. You're saying there's some tourists that may be disrespectful, and we've all seen that, but the vast majority of tourists are very respectful, right? I would say 98, 99%. They're there to spend money, they're there to enjoy the culture, they're there to learn things, to show their kids or spend time with their family. How much of it do you think this is a result of everybody being locked up in their homes for the last 2.5 years, and now that everything's back open again, you and I are telling our family, going, you know what? Whatever it costs, we're going to Italy this summer. Whatever it costs, we're going to the UK. We're going to go do what has been on our bucket list. You can't tell people they can't do that.
You're right. And so, I think the revenge travel peak was last summer. We're seeing a lot of people going to Europe right now, of course, this summer. But more of the world has reopened, which is good. When you look at the challenge that these destinations face, I think one thing you will see is some countries will step up to the point you made earlier to say, hey, come see us. We welcome you, because the destinations that are overcrowded and frankly put out a not welcome message will end up losing. And the other destinations that have the welcome mat out, I think, will benefit.
Henry, I could talk on the subject for a very long time. We don't want to do that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your analysis on this. And I say, go travel responsibly, folks. Thank you very much.